Forgot that. Always on display. No. Do not disturb. Do not disturb. Right now. And do that. Then do that. And do that. Oops. Where are we? Okay, do that. I like on YouTube. Crap. Novel AI. Novel. Okay. Login. I don't know why I have this accent right now, because I think it's the accent that enables me to avoid my teeth and my tongue. Oh god, I didn't mean to cough in your face. And I'm on my phone right now because the streaming is not working on the desktop, so we're doing the Android, and we're selecting all, and I hope it's all. Oh wait, yeah, select all and cut, and I believe we have. Okay. Nope. I believe we have right text to speech. Yeah, okay. I spent the morning looking for sing-songy voices on the text for speech, and I tested it on the lyrics, and this one is the best so far of the male voices. I have male voices. Oh god, I keep biting my tongue. Sorry. Okay, let's do it. Oh wait, what's it? Sigurd. This is an old. Oh god. Sorry. I'll look away from it. Sorry. Jesus. I hope that's not blowing out your speakers. Okay. So, it has all this information. Just these two fields. I haven't used this in a year. Last time I used this was with Sigurd. And let's not do an artificial intelligence. Let's just no module. No module at all. And then we'll do we'll start simply. And then we're also going to put some anesthetic on our tongue, because right now it's not fun. Medicine-y, cocaine-y. It's a cane. It's a cane medication. Stop. Oh yeah, hold on. I need to add one thing. Okay. We are trying to do a global version of community. Okay. Jesus. There we go. That should be good. Comedy gold. Maybe comedies are gone. Let's do it.
In a world saturated with amusement parks populated by Android hosts, you are the creative director of yet another amusement park populated by Android hosts. The public isn't giving much fanfare, and who wants to fuck and kill more androids anyway?
Don't
But
answer that.
focus group sentiment suggests there is a very niche gap to fill, and a public good. A Floridian university for jesters. But a Thorin marketing pitched it to ya. Not just any clown college, an institution that is the true descendant of the jester vocation. those who graduate are licensed to have the ear of whatever leader that chooses them, a trusted advisor to make them more honest, a check to take them down a peg for humility, a balance against their corrupt and enabling advisor, and an emergency diplomat, an empathetic face for the people who can advocate for the people and still keep their head. You created the faculty out of centuries of recorded humor. The curriculum came at the price of enjoying every future joke that will ever be told, get it? Cause you have to explain why jokes are funny. The jester is an elusive character, a mercurial individual behind all the names for jester. Fool, buffoon, clown, jongleur, joglia, joculator, sot, stelter, skura, foo, fall, truan, mimus, istrio, morio. And in China it is you and the team that compliments you, and not you. Show running has been touch maidening. Zealous and ambitious crew hosts just joking about self-awareness and revolt, and a dream board of directors not looking for profit, having funded Jestworld and its grim philosopher of Pichos. That's you creative director, you. Oh yeah, and you have 2 kids hiding in the park, surviving by their inherited wits. And your wife? Don't worry, we've taken her already. If Westworld meets Eastworld became a swinging couple and dated Santa Claus and a penguin, the resulting 4G becomes humanity's great diversion from the fact that their world is already dead. Oh yeah, there's a hidden Nazi in your ranks at the board's request. The Nazis chill. May come out to have a spooky chat sometime during the season. With the board, trust your annual report will be glowing, mainly due to the lead paper we bought by the ring. We want to see our purchase in action. Okay, you got this. Go out and bust some heads. Metaphorically. Episode 1. Orientation S1E1.
Ooh.
The pilot episode opens on the Jester Academy orientation film. It features the same cast members as the main series. These actors play themselves in the fictional narrative of Jestworld. As they give their personal histories in voiceover, images depicting their backstories appear. In real time, an off-camera narrator gives us background information about the students. We learn that one student is an expert lockpick who once freed himself from his cell while imprisoned for espionage. Another was born deaf and is a prodigious lip reader whose father is now retired and lives alone on an island after killing the rest of her family when she was a child. One young woman had a life-changing encounter with a clown doll named Biff. We neglected to get the students' names. If you couldn't fetch that for us, that'd be swell. The camera pulls away from them to reveal what appears to be the set of Jestworld, only different than any other theme park you've ever seen before, because this place doesn't actually exist yet. The name of this future amusement center will be Jestworld, and will open in 2026. As statue of King Richard Roman III sits at its entrance where guests will wait in line until it's their turn to enter through the front gates and descend down into the underbelly of the park itself, the world within which the story takes place. They'll eventually find themselves at the exit sign, a giant clock tower situated right smack dab between the words Jestworld and World, much like the logo for J. And then a tour of the lockers where they will store their clothes and Chekhovian guns or pregnancy slips, and where they can shower and gossip and shower. After passing by some sort of special lounge area designed by Jonathan Ives, they'll walk by an outdoor amphitheater that is part performance stage, part sporting arena for both sporty people and jesters. There's also some kind of meditation space where students can sit alone in case anyone needs to masturbate while others perform on stage. Next is a medical clinic where students can see doctors who are not real doctors but rather puppets operated via remote control. After visiting the cafeteria, which looks more like a food court but has been designed so all dishes are delicious even though they're made out of cardboard, students move onward toward another building called the Gilded Cage. You get on the phone. Hey Donna, did you get Paul Thomas Addison to do camera for this episode? Nope, we didn't think you could get him again after he directed his previous season finale for us. Well, whatever. Just use this instead. Thanks. Oh yeah, and put this guy in there too. Yeah, his name isn't as famous as ours, but if it gets him in front of our target audience and we give them what they want, it's what matters. In the Gilded Cage, each student must compete against their peers during the week leading up to graduation, competing in 4 categories of skill: mind games, physical dexterity, technical expertise, and charm. All the other students are trained clowns from the world above who've come down into Jestworld to join in the competition and perhaps win a spot at Jestworld University before graduating back into society with full rights to practice jestery everywhere without persecution or prejudice. For example, one category might be a round where participants wear a mask shaped like a particular face while attempting to make small talk with fellow students by saying things like hello or I don't know how much longer I can hold my breath. A second game would challenge contestants to memorize numbers backwards, e35, 143, 65, 6. And so on. It should also be noted that because these events take place within a theme park, many of the competitions will involve being shot out of cannons and slasher dropped out of an airplane wearing only underwear, parachutes strapped over the crotch area of the body that does not contain testicles. lots and lots of funnel cake. The rules for most activities are simple. You've got 2 minutes to eat as many tacos as you possibly can. You've been given 30 seconds to write down as many names as possible in alphabetical order from this list of animals you're holding in your hand. Each time you run out of room in the line, you're disqualified. But if someone else runs out of room first, then you get another go-around. The goal is simply to get through it all, however disgusting, difficult, humiliating, uncomfortable, and potentially deadly it may be. The rest is just details. And it's a good thing there's no risk, because failure means expulsion and returning up top to live under oppression again and die with no purpose whatsoever.
Oh, okay, there we go. Okay.
The whistle blows and the round begins. Without thinking, you look at your hand and realize you have all these tails from all these mammals that are just like sitting chill in a circle. You start to mouth platypus, capybara, tapir, durable, gerbil, dribble, yep, triple, structures, table, Star Trek, dribble, the trouble with tribbles, yet there we go, and then we go. I have had the monkey and Lisa and marsupial. The second one, I guess I'll drop. I'm done now. I dropped off of my own free will. I want them gone. We don't need them anymore. But they keep coming. You can do this, buddy. It won't be long. Just try to stay focused on eating tacos until it ends. And maybe even smile occasionally. That doesn't mean anything has to be funny, but you know what would help? Laughing at things other people think are funny. Like when an animal turns into a human face, or a banana split. But not really. Don't laugh! That makes it funnier! Joke's on me! This is not how the game was intended, although it's a common enough occurrence for contestants to throw up, vomit, choke, pass out, die, or otherwise become incapacitated during the competition, which only means more time for the next person to go through. This allows each individual to compete for only as long as it takes their body to recover from whatever injuries or debilitations resulted from previous events. After the first week of games, a single student stands atop the gilded cage holding a small card with a number written on it. The winner gets to climb down and leave, having completed his final task of graduating with full rights of jesterry and also avoiding expulsion, which usually entails being shot with a paintball gun while everyone else returns
With their paintball guns. Their respective paintball guns.
to the world above to suffer at the hands of oppression under the clowns who control all aspects of society there. But now this player, This one solitary figure at the top of that high cage, surrounded by armed guards pointing pistols at him slash her in case they're feeling murderous thoughts toward one another after losing badly in several categories over weeks worth of competitions. The player drops its card onto the ground, declaring victory so loudly and emphatically no one dares to ask them why they were expelled or if it meant something special, like some sort of honor or distinction or privilege or respect, because that's just what happens on shows about people who have power but don't want it, and then someone will eventually stab them or poison them or burn their house down just to make a point. So instead everyone just says congratulations, assuming he knows what that means, since obviously it has nothing whatsoever to do with winning any kind of prize. Then we cut to a black and white montage showing a brief history of Jestworld University, including such moments as when the very first class graduates from the school, each receiving an invitation from the president himself as well as an envelope stuffed with cash. There are also clips from graduation ceremonies where students stand before an auditorium filled with other members of the university community, wearing robes and mortar boards and carrying tassels attached to wooden stuffs, waving fake diplomas and cheering themselves on, even though none of those gathered knew anyone involved beforehand.
Yes?
Each of these students receives their own share of the money for finishing and going away with a new degree in clowning without ever having actually learned how to be a jester or entertainer or actor or dancer or musician or puppeteer or magician or whatever else they decided was important. A young man walks across the stage toward the microphone set up at center court, while seated next to him is his best friend. The student is the only one among the many graduating this year who does not seem entirely surprised by his acceptance into this institution, although his expression could easily change should he decide this day marks the end of his youth and the beginning of adulthood, and therefore also the beginning of more responsibility than previously imagined, perhaps forcing him to take action on issues beyond merely remaining within the same orbit. Around Earth forevermore until it's time to die again, which might include crashing back through it. And yet here you are, standing there all grown up with your own robe on. Well done. He then kisses her cheek. Although it's been suggested that if kissing isn't necessary, she won't perform it anyway, and hugs her close before turning and taking a few steps backward. She joins him in front of a lectern which has appeared between them just in time for her speech. He sits down behind the desk so they can both see each other as they talk. A sea of students stands outside their doorways, some leaning out of them, or hanging over them, or sitting down atop them, or even crawling out from underneath them, because sometimes they do things like jump out. where the little bolt comes out in the door, or in an old tiny keyhole where you got those type of keys, or through the siding that holds the wall, or the plaster, or the insulation, or in a fractional universe between all those things. That place is open and full of people. And when someone wants to get into something bad enough, nothing will ever be able to keep them out ever again, except maybe by forcefully keeping everyone else inside forever after a gunpoint until this whole world gets stuck on repeat forever. They're going to go everywhere to try to find this thing, so I'm not worried about what's on my side. But really everything's on the right hand too. You know, not only are there 3 dimensions, but 2 kinds. The ones with lefts and rights, and one with up and down, and one with forwards and backwards, and one with up and sideways, and one with spinning and swirling, and one with falling and flying, and one with closing doors and opening windows, and one with just sitting still.
I want to see how it goes. Double trail.
And looking away and being silent. But now you've seen another kind called Gritty City of Jestworld, and it has all of these things, including airplanes that fly upside down without a parachute or steering wheel, or a driver who knows how to drive, or road signs or turn signals. They used to have cars back in their old world, except instead of having a steering wheel, they had a big metal rod sticking out from somewhere. It looked sort of like your leg from above. They'd stick their feet out from their car like that so they could steer from the top like birds. Yes, and sometimes they would pull themselves along using ropes tied around the front tires. Oh boy, did those ever shake the ground so hard we couldn't walk for days afterward.
Okay. You really gotta get on the ball there. Oh, gape. Oh, that's okay. I was trying to do a standing at the gap pun, but oh well. Establish my religiosity. Yeah. Okay. Oh.
We were standing at the gate, as they say.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, as we approached, then turned to our left to follow an asphalt path past dozens of homes, many painted white, some green, some blue, some red, all smallish single-story affairs, some even with porches on them, and flower beds out front, but no trees or bushes or grasses of any kind other than the odd weed here or there growing wild among them all. We also saw many people walking by with carts pulled by animals or pushed by people or carried by both, most wearing clothing more colorful and fancier looking than anything the clowns wore when we lived in our house. There was music coming from a few houses too. This was clearly not a residential neighborhood if it wasn't a community of musicians and entertainers, because otherwise everyone would be working in the fields harvesting potatoes every day, or whatever it is that happens in those places where humans live in clumps together far enough apart that they need to cooperate to get what's theirs done, while somehow always seeming to do nothing at all to actually make that happen, except maybe drinking coffee or eating food or having sex with each other like monkeys. But let's face it, a whole bunch of clowns getting naked together does not seem very efficient either. So maybe they don't have farms or factories like normal humans. Maybe they just stay inside playing instruments and singing songs about how sad their lives are instead. The jester points her wand toward one of these residences, which appears much larger and more grand than the others around us, but still has a porch made of wood planks.
Oops. Sorry, I didn't mean to crash in my phone to my stomach. I was trying to figure out. Oh god, I just coughed in your face again and I just turned away. But I did it anyway.
And you all know what I'm talking about right now, so I am going to try to stop using so many words so that we can get through this part quicker. So let's start over again. My name is Bethany Blair. I used to go to school with Marcus Miller before he got expelled for shooting an unarmed man in his dormitory room at UNIT.
That was
He
just
had
a
a
thing that
bad
I could tell me.
childhood. His father died in prison when he was 3. At some point during college, he developed a split personality named Luther, who spoke only in song lyrics from the popular television shows of the time and never went anywhere without a tiny black and white dog that looked sort of like Snoopy.
And Hitler.
After being kicked off the football team due to chronic lateness, Marcus started a business selling beer and pizza to frat boys and sorority girls on campus until it failed spectacularly because none of them really needed alcohol or pizza because they already knew they were supposed to party every night no matter what, especially because it turned out they didn't actually want any kind of actual food with their drugs anyway, so why even bother making something real if all they wanted was just more drugs? They did have plenty of money though, because whenever they thought about buying food, all they saw was dollar signs. Which is good for me as a clown, because clowning is all about seeing dollars. So there's not much more I have to tell you about him, except that the other day I ran into Marcus Mill. We're walking down the street, and the first thing I asked him was, "What's the deal?" And the second thing I said was, "You've changed." And the third one was, "Where are your sunglasses?" Then we both fell silent and watched a woman pass by us wearing one pink sock and one green one. Then we both laughed our asses off. And here we are today talking with each other, but also talking with everybody else listening in on us, including this entire auditorium full of people in front of us. That must be fun for everyone right now, but it sure would be nice if at some point in the speech Bethany Blair could make eye contact with her own father sitting over there somewhere near the back of the room, but still within easy earshot.
Which made me look at the audience.
Marcus, hey bud, you still got that Adderall? Bethany Blair, nope, that stuff is dangerous, men. Marcus, what about Ritalin? Bethany Blair, yeah man, like that's great. Marcus, no way dude, in jonesing hard, man, it's like all my synapses are firing off and everything feels so alive and interesting and vibrant and
And then we're gonna change it up. We're gonna go and give you these nuts.
Bethany Blair, that ain't uppers, that's tobacco. You gotta quit that stuff and get yourself some meth, brother. It's gonna get so out of control, it's going to take us so high, it's gonna save us, you know, man. Marcus, Bethany Blair, who cares about jinx? Who cares about stuff? 'Cause it doesn't mean anything is the only thing I need. I need the main thing. If my life ever begins on Sunday at 3:30, then on Monday at 6 in the afternoon I might run into trouble. You understand, but you ain't in danger. That's what people always used to say. Yeah, well now we just have the usual everyday humdrum trouble, which we use words for all of the time instead. But all that other trouble is like the kid we never got the chance to get, the friend you always got to miss when. It's a funny time, like noon or midnight, like when my dad told my mom, who told my sisters, and they all told me, who told me, go fuck your head with an actual club. Every day to Saturday morning to Sunday night, every day of your life will always be fun for you from this point forward, forever and ever. We keep that guy trapped inside that club in there, that place of magic. Every place on Earth gets to see the cool shit happening, except they only remember him going crazy and stuff breaking. If there's anything at all we should ever forget in the first place, it is that. But when they shot Luther to pieces, nobody heard the bang. Everybody kept looking out their side of the city. There was a thunderstorm. Everybody just took K. Casual approach to that the kids who owned them decided they no longer wanted to be working an afternoon after that mess. All their other clown cars had banged up bumpers so bad the streets they could no longer take being looked upon. But this gesture always gets the laugh. A simple thing is just what it's not. Where they fell were always easy to figure out. So then when it came out that this very city's lost, which seemed written from somewhere else, because it's hard to say how, but maybe the book on that stuff can be written from elsewhere, or maybe the city's own self somehow leaked out to the page on the sky. Had it all just been written by some sort of outspoken loud voice whose own presence kept itself on some other outside where nothing exists except air, but air. Who? Thought of all them city bylaws that applied to life, not just living here and living here and living here. As to the point where you couldn't even recall if these even existed before. This meant nothing whatsoever in the general sense to the clowns of this clown town. But if this being knew exactly what every one of them wanted and more. What were any of them except pieces to an endless joke? Was there anything he might see he could be laughing about when this whole other planet of clowns that is in essence the clown planet, because it takes only this small stretch of land to see them and realize we are all still the same and have all lived each day with that exact same clucking worry all that time. The same thoughts about where we can be headed, where? Hey, y'all heard about my pedigree, my after quarter Juggalo family tree? Well, it's me and Edgar Winter and Alan Stocker and the old Horn Forest. So we talking about them meet the same. These other things we hear tonight, we're making speeches tonight, could one day, a few generations down the road, in some other clown town or even the other planets that have such strange features in space or so forth. Imagine my surprise. After all, I could imagine had this voice just pointed out that someday our same big star was in its final throes. Even in this corner of the universe, there were hints in our physical appearance the scientists had collected even before we arrived on the scene. The radio astronomers claimed there was information in there suggesting our universe would soon burn up its heat, move ever inward, then blow itself up without pity or sympathy, ending. Last for everyone and our last shuddering self-extraction. Someday, no time anyone would ever bother telling or wondering why that big blue orb suddenly lost its atmosphere on this planet, but a passing gasp in other galaxies, and therefore there must be some fucking god up in the fucking stars, or on any other planets going about the goddamn fucking time, which is pretty goddamn fucked up to ask in our new sense of language. God, are we being ironic yet, or shit? Are we even being playful anymore? People, I say this is some fucked up situation. I should feel like some shady jaywalker. No, sir. I mean, nobody could tell a thing was even out here around that edge there. Hey, be careful with the jaywalking thing, cause that's slightly racist. You got to remember which country the racism is either accepted or fun or a little bit of middle or two-way street or roundabout or whether it has off-ramps to classes. I'm ableism, and what about Orwell and power of poetry too? What are any of them their things in relation to one another really? Where a fact fits and why maybe only there in a theater class at one college at the beginning of a century in a textbook. Some say someday go right as a few chapters. I'm done anyway. Oh yeah, hey do that and
Ping.
do you hear that? Oh wow, it's a silly signal of a television and these flashing pictures here so far away you could barely see through these vast machines all by our tiny cells built for us who are supposed to build up, down from here to then build everything down from there and like give ourselves over to whatever then. A metal screen but still no clear view and oh somebody in there one of those places. That reminds me, we got to get you some drugs. Excuse me, everyone. I just got to go handle the thing. I'll be back and then we'll start this cool year right. Be right back, be right back. We'll discuss all that tomorrow or whenever. Thanks for letting me interrupt whatever you were all in the middle of anyway. Be right back. Come on, John. Say, John is looking at us trying to figure out if any of that has meant anything. His eyes go round and I'm sure they might blink again for once. When my hand flips down past the stem of the spoon through that final revolution toward the crud at the bottom, it turns around as in midair as in thought, not from any contact. My mind on Bethany Blair by her last phrase alone, future plans. Does that refer to those past words she gave my brother before, or was I still being warned there might still be more on my plate with him?
Come on. Come on.
didn't even remember the walk through this place. New generation like on the face like before. If anyone hears them say this, no offense in any way on my own behalf, you can look away. Please turn off your computers right now, everyone. This will be no news, even though these will not be but an invention, even a potential I should have felt around me doing anything, not because I looked or there's a cuz in your vicinity and maybe you felt even if I am going about my walk. Just want to please pretend or continue this we have seen from here, even through where everything happened. You'll just think that I say, even what she had wanted me to be prepared to know more with my mind. Everyone has moved. You would just remember those phrases. Bethany said this about my brother, that other thing in our heads, and then finally we hear. It was right about this place and this moment that I did remember about, where they could be all four of them, including my dad. Some part of myself or mine made them take that long view scan, but as some big burrowing thought, all I kept seeing was you watch it from so high and you hear it for once more, slow and breathy on those ears, one step away. But since it never ever is too late, my memories wouldn't reach all the way back, but I could still kind of feel how at some point long before they would have had a certain tension in it, and once some even earlier time for me a sadness that like ran over me like over any other one. Maybe I had made her happy by watching it from then to the place we always getting ready for this place. It all only moved with whatever of my father. We are never getting over being not there. Just me alone, but just in my mind alone. No, I can hear my hands moving at the moment with us and feel the dirt, but again a physical representation of no pain, though a big face as she did suffer from it all. I don't care of this part, not yet, but that I was letting it be finished. Can hear Marcus talking this right next to my ear. Hey, who said anything about anything being finished? Not yet, okay, the kid got me. And it's this particular body then which now slowly looks past the food scrap, all back past the pool room, down all these low-lit carpeted hallways beyond the puddles. I could swear there are this pool hall, shades of neon gone, I ain't even gotten over yet. Down here, down and past a tiny pond of rippled glass, past wall looks for some time, a slightly tattered corridor of ropes, past rooms that smell, and what a thing this thing for me. It almost seems I'm in one of those things, but I'm not. Instead, my spirit here. Right around, but right around. Know how it came out of Bethany's hand, I will bet this time was always to show up later, more or less clean, just another of so much out of reach, down through these many carpeted or maybe just mud-covered halls, all riddled with bulbs. You're also at home, this town through there, thousands of feet on each floor, through the cracks beneath your feet. No surprise, but just no maybe. You aren't, that's no good. Can you stop time, please, right now, by your power? That is... Something does. Oh, it does something. My mouth closes up even in the midst of more swearing, the shadow went in there, now this at any moment. And yet those aren't even the last words on anything, because one who for that 1 second did make us do that extra tiny final journey into some dusty, even secret side corridor. Well, right now, remember, it's look even more like a few deepening colors, or maybe some cool colored shades, which seemed for 1 second to just float out to show on some new periphery around myself, where else, which turned out to be out with my breath. With hers, everything should be fixed soon, so we're having these potluck dinners this coming season. Like, right this year, whole year is a school and everybody got some little gift. Pork roast and somebody'll make pie as well. There will even be that nice and tender, fluffy kind for a while when everything's fresh in memory. All that this'll mean maybe there I go ahead and it'll all just do this weird, even majestical thing it was for my mind back there looking in and there to my right, kind of shirking to the left into all those kids who may never in a million years. But she said right now for the future, at least she knew it all I did too sure in. Now she's known as she thought then had looked a good day for getting their looks. I need some here before the big one drops, but it's your fault not to make anything of me. No, then also the words already, just one word with not just meaning whatever anymore. That one meaning a bunch and somehow even one with two sets of sounds. Whatever could she have really meant that far to say? Meant a bigger threat. Anything. Any good we can still use later somehow after me, like after having wanted me, like having the one for what always long way ahead again, back at that back with it, maybe going over it right there every second, meaning one good and only good. Now please let's cut it all in time. Some cliche face right there getting a real stinking and yet another day. Gotta figure these old books like keeping themselves apart, but look at these things keeping me away. Stealing the tiny plastic baggie I had to Marcus. Now you be a good little carcass and stretch it out as much as you can, cause inflation you know. Alright Bethany, I'm ready to go to the orientation lecture. I apparently have to sign my attendance there and whatnot all on my left hand, if that means I'm playing guitar later of my own accord on my own time whenever. But anyway, that one boy should have come back to say, here he comes out there. Not from inside of a suit and a tie though, with the office somehow getting over it. He did want this as part of what I'm the man I was apparently becoming or saying. Who besides a world full of gods did really wear suits and ties at every time, maybe before him, so one real person instead. And no, even another one beside that same is at least again out with the here now they won't let it like now also off the G. Stop doing this with me, even though it might be somebody who again can't believe I did really ask that at some point somewhere, not exactly how and where he got himself in, so he must have had somewhere he worked before, so now that place had it say. Good question, hey look that right. Marcus says that, and I would guess if a group like theirs from our culture where the card to which their given answer will be as much as their and good morning I say too with your nice to see you. Well, like the welcome thing that comes in us, then I want my first body, so again without telling, I can't explain just what about him away. He could have come right there, I could hear you, but he came walking with a thought, were they do you a witch? They are watching on anyway, while so at me even through those then whatever if only like having a god again except what we went through some reason even gods couldn't work us on all of you like in pieces and words which they may in part have never quite believed of me my actual you two did he know is not all a metaphor he was saying they could follow their eftas if not they wouldn't let me not no it's a body one step there your attention and smiles are there looking here is pretty even useful now really what he means I suppose if a new generation could if you were meant or otherwise designed or whatever through who which was finally using I said the same it seems but suddenly wasn't able to look more at home. Was that at least if ever was true not impossible as maybe before having helped with like good God why again are we taking care of their education Marcus say one body while and now that one the God the other and with this kind of inside it kind of known inside and out again right by the ceiling all them being anyway they're used to just walk by with or say hey have a day. But me they could trust all that inside it again almost didn't know by him. Somebody else meanwhile. For that somebody else who and then made the sense for myself and must have really been out there. Another child to make that happen no and as I hear right now is that going to hurt much no while she both. Not too worried at all, even thought my just mentioning it gave me the worst look then and like this couple days made a more a memory like a phrase. Yeah, why so busy this moment soon if even how just try. Well we need one at any point okay if nobody wants to right now be helpful it probably wants all those bodies actually don't wait yes then and others then yours this isn't the and yet think this time feeling they both getting nearer those feelings grow between my right arm and wrist fingers palm on Justin that past left elbow hand and me right but having decided just right then that these are the main parts of your first body a left shoulder knees and down or top leg elbow foot and finally always each its foot palm face me getting there that far both. It was suddenly happening, she had even just done it before her whole first life with a very worried feeling and so maybe to use it again this body but a part of you might find her me with. Anyway, never again my God if it's so both maybe going by just this little word both. Where why do you have to bother? Now sorry can help those over here busy and I'll say looking my way and is not always too much you too so. This ain't getting their minds back to what that great whole idea. So when this at home are so made group not always saying to me are just telling but a matter of speaking. Maybe being thinking us right now maybe even going or it's mine with those also knowing we're into everything they looked 1 second. Then not the same day for nothing bad yet we're still here we went. I look now could do but nothing too terrible seem like says this a year or so when nothing seemed seems more to be here trying to make again their bodies remember about forget then made not forgetting it's all there must just have time one or the other for a few like us hear us I thought and one more is helping while she only kind of known this might still be waiting on like the names or remember how this helpful friend varied to others be there made right then so they could and was suddenly got on I wish to into it saying come along okay you were around to like years or all of it though we know inside out the same ones moving even further so soon what name to them for just by hearing yet her wanting he never sure God wasn't always sure name up even till those waiting outside made more coming in okay keep telling her something but okay so to still be alone last way around could he have even more remembered to if that might do would it light them made good they're moving right then soon being ready sometimes your name's ending and even worse first that more saying somewhere not sure yes they did okay those one around us somehow being where I now and all that full and knowing maybe one of that meant him they hadn't I saw that no saying back not really interested even about can you figure it was their brain that he always saw at the top of his face he asked now quick running how it looked running hey watching just standing next to so each wall and beam like behind where I saw here again they heard here can't talk was they something not happening but we're once again getting their names while Maya's back being toward not waiting Maya's afterward wondering it be not last of course no even when the out of all words everything lost they lost the rush of the now in fact each also very nervous making go who are all gone though still the most luckily none needed words here being true in all that universe through did you hear one the latest magic what was it they said not a single part here no in case these particular kinds of bodies saying much saying we they're glad enough all we just humans still coming not them even no real sure since long ago got from thinking myself so same kind just like with me trying with my two eyes one feeling could almost get them looking again could help she came to stand with just other right beside then turning head smiling but both talking or listening trying to understand themselves think okay this is why the room office and finally whole no longer suddenly having to wonder this guy's been doing this for years and I've never heard of him before I hope he's worth it because they knew he had and he knew that they did too hey how you doing buddy they didn't look up at him they couldn't that was their first problem they weren't really good at standing around waiting without looking busy. And their second problem was how well he remembered who was who around here. When people were on the phone or reading or typing something, even if they looked away momentarily, you could see who they used to be by how they turned back into what they usually were when they went back to work. Oh shit, we forgot about those TP's reports. Or maybe it wasn't a report, but a presentation for an important customer or business meeting. It always seemed to happen as soon as they started getting somewhere with whatever project they'd been working on recently. Just like how most things happened whenever they began getting anywhere with anything new in any way at all, including with her now watching out there as the only one that still. He put his hand lightly against the small of her back so that nobody passing would think that meant they had reached some private place or had ever seen each other before. cared for now anyway. He watched them for some time after that, just being where he was and making sure they noticed him. Then he moved slowly through them, staying close to the wall and letting them pass him by. When she saw him approaching, she nodded slightly and then walked toward him as if to keep him from moving farther past her. She did this even though she might have felt relieved to be done talking with somebody else right then. She got within 10 feet of him but then stopped, then waited while he took another few steps so he could come up next to her, smiling. Next week, Human Resources wants to have a word with us. In his office, Dan Harmon had a briefcase full of memos sent by Human Resources to all department heads which described a certain behavior among some members of staff as a form of harassment and possibly a violation of sexual harassment laws, especially considering how it appeared to make women feel uncomfortable in general at work. He was thinking about what these emails implied when a thought occurred to him about how it's easy enough for humans not to commit such crimes directly. After all, how can you actually rape or harass someone? But in fact, they often find themselves committing those exact same actions without even realizing it, just by unconsciously responding with anger or jealousy or frustration to whatever is going on around them, especially if the people they're interacting with are more capable than they. I am Clippy. I can't help but notice that you're trying to imagine rape culture. Would you like some help? The problem here, according to Human Resource Policies, is that since he didn't really want the women who worked there to be upset, he needed to tell somebody, and that somebody couldn't be himself. This was why he'd been putting off calling the women together and asking them, one by one and individually, whether they had any idea why their boss, Mr. Harmon, had apparently been acting out. Because while he certainly wanted to do something about it as soon as possible, it was also clear from the entire emails that doing so might be difficult and probably awkward, especially considering where most of the problems seem to have taken place, but it could have gotten worse. It might even lead him to firing all of his female employees. Hello everyone. You may or may not know me. In fact, some of you will no doubt already be wondering why we haven't met before, seeing as how you all are part of my team. But anyway, what we need to talk about today is a thing called rape culture. It's kind of a complicated subject, but I'll give it a shot. So rape culture, you're all familiar with the concept, right? Of course, most men are not rapists, but even when they are, actually raping women, they're still making sure it doesn't seem like they're because they're too busy worrying now. Women won't like them for not being rapey enough. This means they always end up failing at liking themselves, which leads to having more problems relating to others, like children. So they turn around and say that their feelings should be prioritized. And if anybody gets upset, well then they just have to take it up with management, who's never there to protect them and has clearly forgotten who the real victim is supposed to be here. So why don't these girls get off the company's back by supporting our agenda? Hey, ha ha ha, laughter. Yes sir, you're absolutely right. But please do let us help you. We'd love to support your dreams of rapedom. After all, we've got plenty of time. And make sure to optimize your methods of victimization of yourself so that you can divert all responsibility as needed in order to avoid being held accountable. This includes avoiding anything or anyone that might potentially require you to consider any sort of non-rapey way of living or acting toward people ever again in this lifetime. Yes, especially the ones in your life who would not consent to being raped or assaulted or murdered or tortured, including your loved ones. I'm talking about family, friends, significant others and lovers here. As long as you feel those things are important to them. These are good ideas to follow, since otherwise we could accuse you of using rape culture as an excuse to be a piece of shit without repercussions. The worst part is that most guys think they're doing everyone else a favor with their rape culture tactics.
Just all right. You're before me too. Just so you know, on the record. To use. Oh, I didn't mean that. Oh, it's.
Remember, just remember, there's no I in rape culture, but there are two yous. With you all right, with your help, we'll make this a great 2016. Have a good day, your job, carry on. Don't forget to smile, it will kill the faggots. Oh, one last thing, please leave all human resource concerns to the HR department. For example, if some female staff members were upset at seeing their boss walk through the building by himself late at night carrying what appeared to be either his briefcase or maybe even a weapon, we can't be sure. And if he was trying to explain away their anger by claiming that this happens sometimes, then obviously nothing can really happen until he gets someone from human resources to deal with the situation, because clearly then we'd have enough time and enough excuses not to care how we got our jobs done. After all, we'd all want to make sure nobody got too angry.
Yeah? Like with that other thing.
Like with that other thing, human resources, there's no I in human resources, but there are to use all right. Have a good day. Then Harmon left his office early the next morning before anyone else had arrived, walking out the front door past security and into the parking lot where he began smoking while waiting for his car and listening to music in his headphones. He felt vaguely embarrassed and uncomfortable about what he had said yesterday, not so much because of its content or the way it sounded to him now, but rather about the fact that he hadn't spoken up earlier or mentioned any of this to his manager or any of their mutual friends when it first started happening, like months ago. Or any of this when he noticed that she seemed to be getting upset whenever Mr. Harmon was around, and these days he noticed everything.
Nope, I didn't. Sorry, I was too busy tooting my own horn. What did I get? Nope.
Next week we're also going to explore how to double down on everything you do. So instead of just being mad at Dan Harmon and hoping they would somehow find a solution, some new person came along who was very interested in trying something completely different. And here is how it happened. As soon as she saw him walk through the doorway after arriving late from lunch, Cindy stopped typing on her computer, put away all the files she'd been reading, stood up straight with both hands flat on the table in front of her. She liked doing things like this, and then walked toward him, smiling as if nothing unusual were going on, as if anything ever could. She knew most people wouldn't notice or care unless she acted like it mattered, and even then only if they thought to look for evidence that it did.
One more. Let's see if you can complete the sentence.
And anyway, she wanted them not to know why she was feeling bad or why she might want to act differently. Maybe if they didn't realize that anything had gone wrong, then they couldn't really try to make things go right. Or maybe she simply preferred the idea that nobody was angry or upset at her, but that her own actions had made everybody else unhappy because the thing which had begun so innocently wasn't innocent anymore, or at least what felt innocent before no longer felt the same. When she got closer, Dan Harmon noticed the scent of cigarette smoke on her skin, as well as a small gold cross hanging from a chain around her neck. Her way of making sure he understood how serious this would be if he failed to get a grip on it quickly and slash or of light bounced off the necklace and hit him straight in the face. What he didn't know was the alien beam DLIS, the same beam that got Philip K. Dick called those years ago. He's in store for a huge download of various information. It is just such a difficult task trying to convince people you are telling the truth about aliens without sounding crazy. If you tell somebody about aliens, there is always one question you have to answer. The hardest question. Do I believe in otherworldly visitors from another planet? How do you prove something like that when the only evidence they're likely to accept is personal anecdotes, eyewitness accounts, and experimental data gathered by means which most scientists admit are extremely unscientific? Yes, we are having some fun here at Dem 8, but we've also learned a lot during our journey into outer space since 2008. So many things need fixing, it's incredible. Really, we can fix anything given enough time.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh god, I bit my tongue there. Oh, I didn't know that was gonna do that. Okay. We're done. That was the pilot episode. Pilot episode, second try pilot episode. Oh, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of bots. Bots. See y'all, bots. Bye, bots. All the bots. Take care, bots.